Hey everybody, I'm John. I collect cards, and um, today is April 15th, 2022, and it's Jackie Robinson Day, and it's a special one, as we all know. I think anyone who might be watching this video, 75 years ago today, Jackie Robinson crossed the color barrier, broke the color barrier in Major League Baseball. I would say one of the most important moments in our country's history. It goes way beyond sport. It goes without saying. And I just wanted to take a couple of moments here, a couple of minutes here to just I have a couple of cards I'll share, and then a little personal story about what this day means to me and why it will always mean a lot to me. But yeah, so I hope you're enjoying today's game so far. I watched part of the early part of the Mets game, their home opener. In New York this afternoon. It looked like a real nice day out there today, which is great. It's a little cold and wet here in Michigan still, as April often is, but I'm glad to know that the Mets had a nice day today. They've kind of had a nice connection to Jackie's legacy, as do the Dodgers, of course. But first off, if you've never been to Citi Field, I finally made it out there last year for my first game at Citi Field. The Jackie Robinson Rotunda is a really impressive space for a ballpark. Obviously, that's in the part of the park of Citi Field that on the outside resembles Ebbets Field. That's a really, they did a really nice job there. The Mets did, and in terms of making that space happen and what they, how they show it, and really impressive. So I mentioned the Mets and Citi Field because 25 years ago. Well, it actually leads to my story, but so I'll take a quick moment. There's a teaser, I guess you can call it. But here are the two cards I wanted to show for Jackie really quick. This is 1954, number 10. This is my only playing era Jackie Robinson that I have, and I love it. It's the Jackie that I could afford to have as part of my collection. I'm building the 1954 set. I only need 5 cards at this point. This one would grade no more than a 2. It might even grade a 1. I don't think it would grade a 1 because there's not a ton of paper loss, particularly on his face, which, to me was the most important part of when I was exploring Jackie's and when I was ready to buy one. It's got a crease right over here, so you can see right kind of there. There. And obviously it's got a scratch right to the near his eye there, but that's the real most significant part in terms of a couple of bits of paper loss, but it's nothing significant. It's got peeling corners, etc., etc. The back isn't awful it is what it is, off center. It is what it is for a 2. I hope. I hope it grades a 2. I'd even take a 1.5. When I do send it in, I hope it doesn't come back a 1. It also has something down here. It almost looks like someone used it as a coaster at one point. It's got like a groove here for almost as if someone put a coffee cup down there or something. But so that's my playing era Jackie. And then last year I picked up this from Topps' Project 70 thing, which, I think Project 2020 was obviously a bigger deal as it turned out. I wasn't back in the hobby yet when they were hot, and they continued this last year's Project 70 to recognize their 70th anniversary. Topps did, and I picked up a dozen of those cards along the way of various cool designs, great players, and this was one of them. It's supposed to resemble 1955 Topps, but beyond the bottom part and maybe the design here, although that would be on the top right when it would be flipped over. There's really not much of a resemblance to 55 Topps on here, but that's what they claim. And given that's their World Series win as the one and only World Series win for the Brooklyn Dodgers, I wanted to pick this one up. So it is pretty cool. I do kind of like it, just kind of as a little fun thing to have. But I'll dive back into that little story I started to tell. So 25 years ago, at Shea Stadium, the Mets were hosting Los Angeles Dodgers. In a game that I could not remember the score of at all. I had to look it up. The Mets won 5-0, and there wasn't even a home run hit that night, so the wind must have been blowing in. But the Mets improved to 4-9, and the Dodgers fell to 8-4. So, nothing too major about that. The main part of that night was after the 5th inning, they stopped the game for about a half an hour or so for a ceremony recognizing the moment of Jackie's 50th anniversary of breaking the color barrier. And I had the privilege to be there that night. I sat in the upper deck. I was living in New York City at the time. Knew about the game coming up, and I don't think I did walk-up tickets. I think I got them not too far in advance, though. Was able to pick them up for that night. It was probably the second week of the season. Chilly night, but a friend of mine and me went out there. I think it was just two of us there that night. And I think what was impressive about the night was that the gravity of the event, like everybody knew, there was something going to be happening in the middle of the game, and then kind of people realized that President Clinton was there, and Commissioner Bud Selig was there, and of course Rachel Robinson was there. And I just watched the event just earlier today on YouTube. I found a clip for it, and I really hadn't watched it like that in a long time. And I kind of recall it when Bud Selig announced the retirement of 42 across Major League Baseball. I think it took a little while to reverberate around the stadium in terms of just what that meant. Like, I think it was like a wow kind of moment that took a minute or so to settle in. And I think we kind of interrupted Bud's remarks with applause, and he was surprised, I think, because it was a holy moment. Wow, this is a big deal kind of thing. So it was a surprise, and it was pretty special to hear that. And just Clinton's remarks were good, and Rachel's were great. And it was just a special night in that regard. But there was one part about Clinton's remarks that, for whatever reason, I was 24 years old at the time, made me write a letter to the editor at the New York Times, and I just picked the Times for whatever reason. And they actually published it. And so I'm going to read it really quick. And here it is. It ran, I think, on the Sunday following that Tuesday night game. So the headline they gave for it was Honor Robinson, but don't forget Ash. To the editor, this was April 21st, 1997. Unfortunately, you hear my cat in the background. So 1 second, please. Oh, life with pets, or I should say life with cats. She's probably going to keep meowing. I don't know why she picked this time of all times to bother me, but she's doing just that. She just wants attention. Anyway, I'm going to go back to this note to the letter to the editor I wrote to the Times. Honor Robinson, but don't forget Ash. April 21st, 1997. So this was 6 days after the game. To the editor, I was among the 54,000 at Shea Stadium Tuesday night honoring Jackie Robinson, Sports April 16th. I'm only 24, so I'm removed from the Boys of Summer era. But I'm a lifelong baseball fan who remembers getting excited 5 or 6 years ago just seeing color film footage of Ebbets Field and the old Yankee Stadium in one of those When It Was a Game documentaries. Despite the stories parents and grandparents can tell, it's difficult to put yourself in another time. But while sitting in the upper deck, taking in the grand importance of the occasion, I briefly caught a glimpse of 1947. Man, what a thing Jackie Robinson did. Perhaps the only misstep Tuesday night? No mention from President Clinton or any of the sports writers I read the next day of the man I met once, Arthur Ashe. His name graces the new National Tennis Center Stadium across the parking lot. Adding his name in the same sentence with Tiger Woods, for example, would have been wholly appropriate. So that was a little note I wrote, a little letter I wrote 25 years ago that they published. I don't know. It was I don't know what inspired me to write that. I guess Arthur Ashe inspired me to write that because they had just named the National Tennis Center, the new tennis stadium they had built, which is right across the parking lot from what was Shea Stadium, and Citi Fields are pretty much in the same spot. But if anyone's familiar with that complex at Flushing Meadow, the U.S. Open and Shea are just a parking lot apart. The 7 train gets you out there all the way out to actually it's the second to last stop I think on the 7. But I met Arthur Ashe as a senior in high school in 1989 or 90, and he was filming like a TV special or something in our high school. And I guess the producers and him wanted to meet a couple of people from I think it was from the student paper. I think we were all on the student paper when we got to talk with him in the gym for, I don't know, probably a good half hour or so. And he was just a very nice man from what I remember. But, I thought, everything that he went through in tennis made me think that it was just a little missed opportunity at all for the presidential speechwriter, whoever had that assignment for that night for the president. But anyway, just thought I'd share that. Again, that was a special night, 25 years ago, and his impact, I think, is even greater now in some ways than it was 25 years ago. And hopefully it continues to grow. Jackie Robinson. Yeah, that's it. So thanks everybody for listening. Sorry for the cat interruption. But yeah, so such as having a pet. But anyway, I hope you're all enjoying this edition of Jackie Robinson Day, recognizing a most important event in our country's history. Thanks everybody. Take care. Bye.